All right, so here we are. We are recording this now, and this is for our Com 496, the senior seminar in communication for the Com department. And today we have guests from the, I'm going to say this hopefully right, the Higher Ed Student Affairs graduate program here at Western Carolina University. We want to talk a little bit about kind of one of the options many students ask about graduate school after they've been finishing up their communication degree and what's next. So these folks are here today to talk a little bit about the program, and we'll kind of ask them some questions around what this particular program is like in graduate school, et cetera. So I'm going to turn it over to them to begin this and introduce themselves. And we will start with Dr. April Perry.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. My name is April Perry, and I'm the program director for the HESA grad program here at Western Carolina. And we've got two of the HESA students with us today. Y'all want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jessica Davis, and I'm the graduate coordinator for leadership programs here at Western.
Hi, all. I'm Emily Fries, and I am the HESA program graduate assistant.
Awesome.
So really, we just, do you want us to start in, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of tell us a little bit about kind of the HESA program. And you know, I kind of threw that what that is, Higher Ed Student Affairs, but tell us a little bit about kind of what is the program and what does it look like?
Yeah, so the best way I can describe the field of student affairs to folks that might not, speak this language is saying, hey, have you met anyone that works at a university that's not a professor? So presumably the recruiter that came to your high school, the person that helped you go through the admissions process, your academic advisor, helping you enroll for classes. And then once you got to campus, that orientation director, maybe you got involved in campus activities and leadership programs. Maybe you joined a sorority or fraternity, or maybe you're involved in campus rec or some sports or some athletics, anything and everything. Maybe you did student voting, maybe you did, service learning. Anything and everything that happens on a university campus that's outside of the classroom is what we call student affairs. And there's a whole career path for folks who want to do that type of work. So specifically for people that have a communication degree, myself included, I have an undergrad in communications, and think, well, how can I use my transferable skill set if I'm not going to be a journalist, if I'm not going to go into news? And there's tons of event planning, there's tons of management that goes into this side of the institution where those transferable skills come alive. And it's also, we're helping industry, so you get to be a part of changing lives. So when you think back on your college career, presumably most of you all are seniors, think back at all those people who've influenced your path. And maybe you find yourself having been a really involved student. All those people who've helped you along the way all have a master's degree in higher education. I didn't even know that this was a career field until I was in college and realized, how do I get a job doing what those people are doing? Because that was pretty awesome. I actually left and worked in broadcasting for a while after I finished my undergrad degree, and then came back and said, I'm going to do a master's in higher ed, and I want a career path doing this. And now I get to teach people who want to also work in higher ed. So that's basically it. We're a 2-year master's program for people who want to work at a college or a university, but outside of the classroom. We have tons of cool incentives for working, which I can chat about, like graduate assistantships and tuition waivers and things like that. But that's the basic gist of what this career path is. And it's absolutely an option for people with communication degrees.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to ask both Jessica and Emily a couple of questions about y'all's experience. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what your undergrad was and how you made the decision to go into this particular world of higher education in this particular degree? Maybe Jessica, start with you.
Yeah, so I actually attended Western for my undergrad in 2008 to 2012, so I'm a little bit older. And I got my undergraduate degree in hospitality and tourism management. Mm-hmm. So my intention when I was in school was to be a corporate meeting planner. And I was a camp counselor over the summer and realized how much I love that. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll be a summer camp director, la, la, la. Long story short, I ended up working in mental health and social work for 6 years. And I love engaging with young adults. I love helping students develop and things like that, but I didn't want to keep doing it in the mental health capacity. And I actually am one of the directors of a summer camp on the side. So I was really looking at how can I take what I do with this camp that I really love and turn it into a career. And I just started doing some research. Higher education came about. I didn't even know that was a thing. But then once that seed was planted, it's all I could think about. And so here I am.
Awesome. And you, at the beginning, you kind of said what your title was.
Yes, I'm the graduate coordinator for leadership programs.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what that involves.
Sure. So I work with students who are in different leadership capacities, everything from the lead minor to CAT camp, which is our first year transitional experience. It's a leadership camp that happens kind of an extended orientation. We've also got our freshman leadership initiative, which is a living learning community of first year students. And my main goal is to start working with like collaborating across departments so that we're helping different departments, both in academic and student affairs, develop their students' leadership.
Hey, Emily, how about you? Like, kind of give us a little idea of what your kind of undergrad and path into the HESA program has been.
Hi, yes. So I actually went to Clemson University for my undergrad. I'm a Clemson native, and during my time in my undergrad, my undergrad major was secondary education and history. So I enjoy working with kind of older students. I don't really want to babysit the little ones. So I got into higher ed history, but then over the summers, I worked with the housing department, and I just kind of was like, I really love the behind the scenes. I love working with other students around my age and kind of that aspect. I was like, how do I make this happen? How do I do this? So I looked into a business major, and they were like, it's going to take you a while. I didn't really know that just my own major would work fine. And kind of like Dr. P had said, so many majors kind of work with higher ed. So I knew that was kind of my path, but I also knew that grad school was going to be something that I was going to do on my own. So I took a couple years off, kind of figured out how to be an adult. And then I knew, okay, I need an assistantship-based program because I need to make some money as well as while I'm, getting my education. And I grew up coming to the area. I love the mountains, wanted to live in the mountains for a little while, and it just kind of fell in my lap. It's been fantastic, honestly. Really love it up here. Love WCU.
Awesome. So you said something that's kind of interesting. You were looking for one of those programs that had offered assistantships. Because I know that's a lot of times it's a concern, right? I mean, we've already maybe spent quite a bit of money to get our undergraduate degree, and so how can we kind of maybe offset some of those costs and do that? And in big programs like a big MBA program, sometimes you're still on your own. You got to cover those costs. So can y'all talk to me a little bit about what HESA does in terms of assistantships and kind of the kinds of things that you might do and how you would go about looking into that?
Yeah, I can talk about the logistics, and then maybe Emily and Jessica can tell you how it actually manifests. So we as a program, we're a small program. We admit 15 students each year, and it's a 2-year master. So we've got about 30 students across our program. And it's our goal to not only just teach people theoretically in the classroom and say, well, this is what you would be doing when you're a practitioner. This is, something to think about, but actually letting them get that professional work experience. So we guarantee, not just offer, but guarantee paid graduate assistantships for every single student in our program. This is part of our mission. We want to say, hey, we're not just here to teach, we want you to get practice. So what they're learning about in the classroom, they immediately can go apply into a space. We've got about 50 different placement options across WCU's campus and then a couple partner institutions. So lots of different areas, right? So if you're like Jessica and you want to work in leadership, and Emily's working with our program this year, but last year worked with the Center for Community Engagement. So anything that you're kind of interested in, you steer your practical experience, your graduate assistantship toward that. So even though everyone's getting that same in-class experience, everyone's practicing that knowledge and theory in different environments. So our program is small, but it's meant to be that way. We adhere to the cohort model, and we call ourselves the HESA family, and we really want to foster that individual student development by giving people an opportunity to actually put into practice what they're learning. And so maybe Jessica and Emily, y'all can share how you do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I would love to share because the assistantships and internships are my personal favorite part of the program. So we do an assistantship each year, and we have the choice to switch departments if we want to during our second year. We also do a spring internship and a summer internship. So by the time you graduate, you've had the opportunity for up to 4 different positions. And it's so amazing because I've been working in leadership both years, but then last spring I decided to do an internship with career services. And that was something I had never considered as a functional area before starting, but I loved it so much that now it's like I can really see myself in this field. And then I kind of integrated my leadership and career services stuff into my summer internship. So you have the opportunity to dabble. And what's also really great is because we all have assistantships across campus, it makes it much easier to network because you can stop into your cohort members' offices. They can introduce you to their supervisors. You get to help out with different events and initiatives. And so it's a great networking opportunity, and just you can literally learn about anything you want to because everyone knows who we are.
Emily, how about you?
Yeah, I really love these assistantships. It's kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's work experience in the middle of learning, which I feel like is really rare. A lot of times you're just kind of focused on school only, and then you separate the internship. But we're able to really balance it well with school and classes and everything like that. You only do about 20 hours a week, which sometimes can feel like a lot, but it really is. It's easy to balance it. And for me, I did change across my first year and my second year. I'll be honest, I didn't even get my first couple of internships that I wanted because they were so everybody wanted them, and I was a little bit late to the game there, but I don't regret it at all. I absolutely loved working with Cecil. I got to learn more about my passion for working with students, but I also got to learn a little bit more focused on what I wanted because I came into the program not knowing what focus I wanted. So I worked with undergrads. I worked specifically with freshmen in the Ripple Effect program, which I really loved. I loved building those relationships, but I also kind of was able to focus and be like, I love working with undergrads, but I think I want a little bit more determination, a little bit more focus from the students that I work with. So that's why I picked working with HESA, because I'm planning on working with a graduate school after I graduate, hopefully. Just because I think I really appreciate, obviously all college students, but I think that focus and that drive is something that I want to be able to nurture with my future students.
Sure. So you, Dr. Perry said that you were both looking to graduate in the spring. So what kind of plans do you have, or what do you think is next? What do you want to do next after graduation? Because you're kind of in the same boat as some of my students are now in the undergrad space.
Yeah. Jessica, do you want to go?
I'll go. I have so many plans. Oh my gosh. It's okay, I came into this knowing that I wanted to go into leadership, right? But to me, leadership is a component of every facet of life. So I realized that I could take what I love about leadership theory, leadership development, and things like that, and incorporate it into any functional area. And I've really been loving career services. I also have an intention of moving up into, administration. Maybe I'll even be a chancellor one day, we'll see. And so I've been learning that in order to do that, it might be necessary for me to go the academic affairs route. So I've been thinking more about going into career services and getting in the academic side of things so that I can move up. But it's just, sometimes I go on higheredjobs.com and look for jobs, and they just all sound awesome. And so I don't know, but that's my plan for now.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of overwhelming because the great thing about working with a college is that you can literally go anywhere. Especially with COVID, I've been kind of honest with my parents. I'm like, you know what, I might be in California next year, or I might be in, Oregon. Like, honestly, I've just got to take the job. But also that's really exciting for me. And I am, honestly, I kind of want to be a future Dr. P. I really love the teaching aspect of it because of my background with teaching, but also I really, really appreciate the kind of molding of other people and other students. So I'm thinking about getting a doctorate later. I definitely want to get a little bit of like professional experience. But what's also really cool is that I could go international to get a doctorate. So it's been a dream of mine to visit like London or Ireland. So I'm kind of shooting for the stars, to be honest. I would really like to do a lot. And I also have recently learned that I love research. So kind of like Jessica, I have a bunch of different plans, and I'm just kind of like, we're just waiting to get to that like starting line after graduating, like, okay, take off and, do everything.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned going international to get your doctorate, because April, wasn't it your experience as well?
Mhm.
That's something you did, actually. I know you and your husband did to kind of come back. So tell me a little bit about, like, if you are interested in this degree program, like what do we need to do? Like, how do we need to position ourselves now? What can folks that are graduating within this next year, what are the kinds of things they should be doing, thinking about doing? What kind of advice will set them up for maybe looking at this?
Yeah, if you have a heart and a passion for working with college students, and you can see yourself working at a college, that's really all you need at this point. There's no kind of undergraduate degree that's going to set you up. It's just that heart, that passion, and then of course your transferable skills from being a communications major. As far as logistics from this point, the first step is visit the HESA website, hesa.wcu.edu. And our website is super full of great information, but it's also really navigatable. Is that a word?
Yeah.
You navigate it. And you can learn all about what makes our program different or special from other master's program like ours at different institutions, what we offer for graduate assistantships. The admissions requirements are on there. We do not require the GRE if you have a 3.0 GPA or higher, so that's exciting for a lot of people. Our admissions deadline is March 1st, so you do have a bit of time. And as you all are preparing your admissions applications, or if you just have questions, please reach out to us. My information is all over the website, and then also Emily's is as well. And she can talk to you from a student's perspective and give you the real scoop, and then I can talk to you from a faculty perspective. But starting at the website is the best place to gather information.
Awesome. And then you come in kind of as a cohort that starts in the fall, when the program starts, and the program is how long? 2 years?
2 years, yeah, and fall entrance only. So even if you're graduating in December, you got to hang tight, apply for that March 1st deadline, and then you'll start in August.
Awesome. Is there anything else that we haven't covered? Like, is there something else that you're like, or just that every undergrad should know when they're trying to consider these, make these decisions about graduate school? Is any kind of parting words of wisdom for any of them as they're trying to figure it all out?
Yeah, good luck for those of you all that are graduating and thinking about your career path and what's next. More than anything, we just wanted to plant a seed that this was an option, that working at a college is a great place to use your transferable skill set. And if you have more specific questions, we are totally happy to help work with you all individually. Jessica, Emily, do you all have anything else you want to say?
Well, my advice, regardless of whether you're interested in HESA or any other master's program, is just make sure that you're ready to do the work, because it's not undergrad. So just make sure that you're really in the headspace, that you're ready to commit your time to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, honestly, she hit it. It's exciting, and it's really fun to think that you just kind of stay in college, but it's definitely a different ball game. Like, you're really dedicating your life, you're dedicating your money. But I think our program is worth it, to just kind of toot our own horn a little bit. But ultimately, like, don't, you know, as far as graduating goes, don't freak out too much because you're going to make it. It'll be fine.
And we'll add one more thing. We have for the last 6 years, a 97 to 100% job attainment rate for our graduates. So people aren't just coming and getting a master's degree and hanging out and drowning in student loan debt. They're actually putting their master's degree to use. And I think a lot of that has to do with the professional experience that they gain when they're in their graduate program. They're not only walking away with a master's degree, but you're walking away with 2 years of professional work experience. And that really makes our students specifically very competitive candidates in the workforce. And it's proving because they're all getting jobs.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. You talk about kind of that whole debt thing. One of the things we do have a session for the class on is around kind of financial issues and paying student loans. And once you graduate, you know, they kind of want you to pay on that kind of stuff and how that works. And certainly going into higher education, particularly if you go to a public institution, there's some student loan forgiveness programs around that kind of career path. And I know I'm taking advantage of that even personally myself by working for a university. So that's pretty awesome. Where you mentioned kind of that placement rate. Can you give us an example of where some of your graduates have gone? Like what kind of places, what kind of jobs?
Everywhere and anywhere. We have people that have headed internationally. We have a student in Ireland right now who wanted to work for a study abroad organization. We've got people from the West Coast, Washington State, California, Colorado, all the way to here working at Western.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in their job search, you know, they have an individual focus. Maybe they want to get out West. Maybe they want to stay close to family. So it's really an individual journey. And that's what's so amazing about working in higher ed is that there are colleges and universities literally everywhere. So there are jobs everywhere. So although the majority of the people who graduate from our program tend to stay in the southeast part of the United States, mm-hmm. We have alumni that go absolutely everywhere.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, you know what? I'm glad you kind of reminded me about this. I think you've done this before in other classes. And so I'm glad that you were able to kind of take the time this morning to kind of talk to my students. Because again, just being able to explore another option as we're trying to figure out what's next for them is really, really great. So I appreciate it. And if I can help you guys out with anything, let me know. All right.
Yay. Thanks, Dr. Eldridge. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Good luck, y'all.